Today I'm going to introduce you to another type of data known as an array. And let me show you how this works. So I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to go back to my old variable names. I'm going to name this one Fred. And I'm just going to type this out and explain it. So this is the first time that we're encountering square brackets. And this here is an array. An array is simply a list of things. So it's not really a brand new kind of data. This is really what's called like a data structure. So that's like the name of my book is blah, 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 data structures and algorithms. So an array is another kind of information, but it's really just a structure that holds a bunch of information together. It is a list. In other programming languages, they actually use the term list to describe this data structure. But in Ruby and many other languages, it's called an array. In this case, my array is holding a bunch of numbers. In this case, it's holding 6 numbers. Each number is separated by a comma. We'll see how to work with arrays momentarily. But since everyone knows what a list is, the essential concept of an array is not a difficult one. It's just a list of information. There's 6 items in this list, each item separated by a comma. Any questions about that so far, the essential concept? Okay. Now, the tricky part is, okay, what do we do with this list? Now, we'll see that arrays are extremely powerful. Before we show what to do with an array, let me show you that an array doesn't have to exclusively hold numbers. It can hold strings as well. Right? Xylophone is the natural next progression after hello and goodbye. It could even hold a combination of strings and numbers if you so chose. So here's my array that holds 5 things. Just happens to be that 3 of those things that it's holding are strings, and 2 of the things it's holding are numbers. One of those numbers is a negative number. It's all fine. You can mix it and match it together. There are languages that say if you make an array, everything has to be that same type of thing. You could only have an array of exclusively strings or an array of exclusively numbers. But Ruby is a more flexible language that allows you to mix all different types of things into an array. But in any case, the array is still essentially this list of items. When I talk about things in an array, I'm used to calling each item an element. So I guess that's the more technical way of saying it. So I might go back and forth using the terms items and elements. But basically, I'm referring to the individual items in the array, whether I say items or elements. I'll try to say items, but I might regress and keep on saying elements. OK, now that we have this array, if we want to look up what is in this array, now here we can see it. But if we want to write code that inspects to see what is within each slot in the array, we would refer to the array by its name. In this case, the only way we have a way to refer to it is through its variable name. So Fred. If I want to check what is the first item in this array, I say Fred square brackets 0. This is one of the first things that throws people if you're brand new to computer programming, is that arrays start at 0, they do not start at 1. Now who can predict what will happen when I run this code as is? I'm just hearing mumbles, but well, it doesn't actually print hello. There's the green thing, which if you recall, you should ignore. I'm going to get rid of that. It does nothing because really, in its head, Ruby does think the string hello, but we haven't done anything with it. So really, if we want to have it show up in the terminal, we should not forget to put the p in front of it. It will print it to the terminal. So now if we say pfred 0, that indeed prints the string hello to the terminal. If we print Fred 1, that prints the 2 to the terminal, because the 2 is in the 1 spot. If we do 4, it's xylophone. And People actually call this the zeroth spot in the array, like zeroth, as if that's a word. So hello is in the zeroth spot. Yeah?
If you put puts 0, would it print hello on both sides?
Yeah, exactly. So if we do puts, let's say for Fred 4, it will print xylophone. Yeah, as we pointed out yesterday, puts is the fancier way to print a string, in which case it gets rid of those quotes, which you don't really want in most of the cases. Yeah. So just like Fred is a nickname for this entire array, this entire list, you know, Fred 4 is essentially, if you want to think about it this way, a nickname for the string xylophone. So Fred 4 basically looks up the elements. I can't say the fourth element as much as I want to, because Fred 4 is actually the fifth element. That's super annoying, right? There are actually some programming languages where arrays do start at 1. There's a language called Erlang that starts at 1. Whoever thought that was like brilliant. But most languages, when dealing with arrays, start at 0. So Fred 4 is the fifth element in the array. It is the element at spot 4. Because starting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me introduce another term. I keep on saying the spot in the array, right? I said that xylophone is in spot number 4. I'm going to introduce a new term called index. Index is just the official word for spot. So xylophone is the string that is at index 4 within this array. The string hello is at the 0th index. If you go home and start talking about 0th to your friends and family, they're like, what, where were you? Were you captured by aliens? So, any questions about this? Okay. Now, if we wanted to change a value at a particular index, let's say we're staring at that goodbye, and we're like, that's so morbid. So let's change it to something friendlier. So which index are we changing? Yeah, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yep. If we want to change what's at index 3, we say Fred square brackets 3 equals, almost as if we were setting a variable or overriding a variable, we change it to something else. Like rainbow. That's a much nicer word than goodbye. And now, if let's do pfred, let's print out the whole array. We'll see that the array has changed, and that the value, the element at index 3 is now rainbow instead of the string goodbye. So far we've encountered how you can look up an element at a particular index like this. So this is put a comment here. Looking up an index, and this is overwriting an index. Let me show you something pretty weird. We talked about how puts prints things out in a fancier way than the actual p keyword. If we puts an array, this is what it does. It actually prints out each item from the array on its own line. Not sure if that's useful to anyone, but I'm showing it to you before you get thrown off by that if you happen to encounter that. Since I want to always be, in this case I want to display it as pfred to show you that this is an array in its original form.